part of the 10 TV viewing area that goes until 7 o'clock this evening. Now, we've been watching a little bit of sunshine after lunchtime today. Very windy out there. Winds 40, almost 50 miles an hour in some of those gusts, along with an approaching cold front. That's why the National Weather Service has been issuing this tornado watch. Now, we're also seeing a couple of spots, most notably Hardin County, Marion, Wyandotte, and Crawford County. These areas in the orange, those are severe thunderstorm warnings. The current batch right now goes until about 4:15. As you can see, south and east of that line, we're seeing some sunshine. That's not a good thing. That's adding to the moisture that's already there, combining with that cold front coming back in. That could allow for some of these thunderstorms to get stronger and possibly tornadic, although just to be clear, as we're coming up on 3:40 on this Wednesday, we've seen some circulation in these storms, and we'll get to those details in a moment, but we've seen many indications of hail and high wind, but not indications of tornadoes, so that is a bit of a good sign. So we're going to take a look then at some of the closer inspections areas to the north and west of Marion, still in the Doppler 10 viewing area. Those areas we're looking at right now with some of those individual cells are looking a little bit characteristic of what we call a bow echo, kind of pushing outward, not quite lining up completely. That's also not a very good sign, but just for appearance sake, these storms have been moving northeast at about 45 to 50 miles an hour. So just the storm movement itself is enough to cause some damage. But for a little bit of a closer inspection on some of these, let's go to meteorologist Michael Behrens. Taking a look and diving in, Michael, we've seen reports and some indications of hail about quarter, almost golf ball size. But at this point, while some of the storms have been rotating, fortunately, that rotation has not yet made it down to the ground.
Yeah, we haven't seen any of those rotating thunderstorms make their way into tornadic storms this afternoon. And thankfully, we've seen mostly just hail inside some of these thunderstorms that have been developing this afternoon. In fact, let's take a closer look at some of that hail potential inside these storms. We'll switch over to the mode to show the hail potential inside the storms here. We're seeing some pretty good sized hail returns just off to the west of Marion over toward Hardin County. In Kenton, we do have the risk for those not tornadoes, but the hail to be seen inside that storm. We're going to see that hail potential look quite strong over toward the Kenton area. Some of that hail going to continue up toward the north of the Marcells area as well, up toward Upper Sandusky, south of US 30. So again, a couple areas of strong hail here involved with these storms. We'll zoom back down toward the other severe thunderstorm warning, which is just off toward the west of our viewing area right now, to the west of Urbana, west of portions of Clark and Champaign County over toward Miami. That's where we see another area of some strong hail north of Troy. So these storms producing quite a bit of hail here this afternoon, Jerry. We're going to be watching again closely to see if these storms do start to rotate this afternoon. But again, right now, while we do have that tornado watch in place till 7 o'clock, it's just been severe thunderstorms as of this moment.
Yeah, not to be dismissive of that severe thunderstorm threat, but as you mentioned, we're looking at the higher end potential still for some of those cells to begin to turn and make that twist or that rotation down to the ground. But as of now, that has not yet happened. Again, that is good news. So just going back momentarily to show you the areas shaded in the yellow. Those are all counties, including Franklin County, Delaware County, to the west around Union County. Those are under a severe or tornado watch until 7 o'clock this evening. And those areas in orange, including Wyandotte, Crawford, Marion, and Hardin County, those areas shaded in the orange are under that severe thunderstorm warning until 4:15 p.m. So closer inspection to the radar scan. Let's take a look right now at what we're looking at in the Doppler 10 Weather Center. That's some areas, again, spotty cells out ahead of that. These have popped up and then fallen back down again, which is a sign of that even ahead of this front, there's some stability. So kind of a lid, kind of squashing some of that vertical development of the storms. And that's one of the things that's absolutely necessary in keeping with the threat of severe weather is the opportunity for those storms not just to form, but also to maintain their integrity and grow. So one of the things we saw in previous events, going back unfortunately to late February, mid-March, and then again in April, is that oftentimes a line of thunderstorms, as this one appears to be developing, is indicative of hail and wind, and of course some heavy downpours and a lot of lightning. When we get those individual or singular cells, and Michael and I talked about this unfortunately a couple of weeks ago with that outbreak on April the 2nd, when those maintain kind of individual characteristics, don't have a lot of near neighbors, any energy that's available then can be taken up by those individual cells. So we're kind of seeing a hybrid right now, Michael, not really seeing those individual supercell thunderstorms, but as we talked about, there are indications that those storms are actually rotating, but that rotation, as we said, has not yet reached the ground, and that is good news. So the main threat, as you illustrated in some of these storms, is the potential for hail and then also the potential for 50, almost 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
Yeah, and we're going to be keeping a close eye for potential rotation this afternoon, as will the various National Weather Service offices. Just speaking of which, the National Weather Service office out of Cleveland getting ready to add more counties in northeastern Ohio to a tornado watch, as well as watching for the potential of some rotation in this severe thunderstorm that's working its way through portions of Hardin, Wyandotte, and Crawford counties. In fact, I want to show you a picture here just up to the north of the warned portion of the storm. It does appear that we are having at least a little bit of rotation inside this part of the storm. So I'm going to go ahead and draw an inside view here on the map, and you can see up to the northeast of Crawford what looks to be at least a little bit of rotation on the Cleveland radar there. That would be north of Upper Sandusky. So that's going to be worth watching carefully. The Weather Service office in Cleveland also watching that part of the storm pretty carefully here this afternoon. We'll pull the rotation tracker down into the storm as we get down into portions of Wyandotte County, and then we are seeing again some weak signs of some rotation inside this portion of the storm as well. You can kind of see some of those greens and reds coming together to the north of the Marseilles area, northwest of Morale, southwest of Upper Sandusky. So these are going to be areas to watch carefully as this storm starts to evolve over the next few minutes here, and see if these become stronger or if these sort of peter out as most of the storms have so far this afternoon. But they are entering a part of the state that potentially could have a better risk for severe weather.
And you mentioned, of course, the opportunity for that tornado watch to be expanded northeastward. We're kind of looking at the big picture right now for you, and we're joining. If you're joining us on 10 TV Plus, we appreciate that, and we'll get some extended coverage here and a little bit of inside weather baseball to kind of give you an insight as to what we're watching and tracking. As we do not have a 4 o'clock newscast today because of soccer, we will be joining at 5 o'clock and 6 p.m. as normal. And if there is severe weather between that time and again before now and 5 p.m., we will break into coverage of that soccer game. Just let everybody in 10 TV land know what they're in for. Now, again, back to this line of some downpours and thunderstorms, talking about the main threats being gusty winds up to 60 miles an hour and hail up to an inch, which is about quarter size and maybe a little bit larger. One of the things we're watching, it's been kind of flip-flopping in some instances, but is beginning to show a little bit of consolidation, are the computer models. So if we go hour by hour with this particular model, which is a high resolution from the weather company, that does do a pretty decent placement of the worst weather: Bucyrus, Marion, Marysville, not exactly down to the county or the mile, but generally speaking, obviously loaded toward the northern half of the viewing area, while the southern half has yet to really see that line extend southward. And at this rate, and according to this model, it does not appear that that's going to be a real threat. Yes, Columbus, 4, 5 o'clock, again, during our live broadcast on 10 TV, does have some downpours and gusty winds, but clearly your attention is that yellow and orange and that deeper red, Knox County, Licking County, and over toward Coshocton County between 5 and 6 p.m. We're going to forward that again till about 7 o'clock, and by then this line is racing at about 50 miles an hour. So if you are even driving at 50 miles an hour from west to east, you can see how quickly this line is moving through. 7 o'clock and heading up till about 8 p.m. We do see a southward extension down toward Morgan County and Athens County, but that's out 8 to 9 o'clock, so that will be smooth sailing once we get past that. So again, overall, things are looking rather tranquil for the moment south of I-70. Most active weather is along and north of I-70. Closer inspection then to some of those spots as we've been watching this developing line. That tornado watch came out right around noon, between 12 and 12:30 today, and it has obviously focused on areas that were to the north and west of Columbus. So that's one thing that we're watching very closely, and we'll continue to do so. Closer inspection, again, just for a moment, does show that area of severe weather and those thunderstorms, frequent downpours, gusty winds, and then again, we're looking at the area with the hail and high winds just northwest of Marion, around Bucyrus, east of Kenton, right around Bell Fountain, and that line again moving off toward the east at about 40 or 50 miles an hour. So a lot of those severe thunderstorm warnings, Michael, are set to expire in about a half hour's time. Has there been any change or update to those warnings or any new ones?
No new warnings as of right now, other than a brief extension to cover the rest of Marion County. The southern side of Marion County that was not under a severe thunderstorm warning did get picked up with one. The severe weather outlook we've been watching this afternoon, including most of central Ohio under a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe storms. We're watching again that risk for some tornadic activity this afternoon. We'll switch over to the risk from the Storm Prediction Center just for the tornadoes, and you can see the area that it's highlighted most is going to be centered kind of around northeastern portions of Ohio. That does stretch down toward Columbus, but we are watching storms enter an environment that could be more favorable for some spin here in the next from now through the next couple of hours. As far as what we're seeing out there in terms of the warnings right now, again, no tornado warnings at the moment, but we are watching a couple of interesting storms. The first ones are up in toward portions of Wyandotte County, up toward Crawford County and Marion County. These storms right now just under regular severe thunderstorm warnings, but if I do switch over to the Cleveland radar and we'll look inside the storm at how the winds are going, and you can see just kind of a few areas of interest in here. One south of Tiffin, one possibly on the Marion-Wyandotte County line there, and then another one back out toward Kenton. So these are kind of areas where the Weather Service is going to be watching to see if we do see rotation in there. You can see the differences between the greens and the reds. Greens being wind toward the radar, reds being away. That would be a potential area for rotation. I do want to switch back to the regular radar just for a moment here and slide back down across the region out over toward portions of Champaign County. That's where we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for a storm that is being flagged to have rotation in it by the National Weather Service office out of Wilmington. Not a tornado warning, but a rotating thunderstorm working its way toward Johnson right now and in toward Urbana. So we'll switch to, I believe, Dayton radar is going to give us a great view inside this particular storm as it's very close by. And right now, it definitely would be some, at least broad rotation, I would say, inside that thunderstorm, working its way toward Conover and eventually over into toward portions of Champaign County. Nothing right now that looks tight or well organized, but this is going to be something to keep a close eye on in the Weather Service office out of Wilmington, watching that one here this evening as well, Jerry.
Yeah, it's an excellent point, and I kind of drilling down into some of those cells, Michael, and showing some of that rotation. That's been a hallmark of the storms over the past couple of hours, but as we said, at the moment, they have not yet maintained that rotation when it reaches down to the ground. So we'll take a closer look again at some of those cells. We're looking at the opportunity for the watches and warnings. We'll get you quickly up to speed there and showing areas again under severe thunderstorm warning. Those go until 4:15. That cell that Michael was watching, over towards Champaign and Clark County, and the other cluster of cells mainly focusing on Marion County, eastern Hardin County, and then Wyandotte and Crawford County, everything moving off toward the east-northeast. Aside from that, while there currently are not any warnings, including the metro, Marysville, Delaware, Columbus, Newark, Lancaster, Circleville, are down toward London, and that is an opportunity for this area to actually begin to show some involvement, Michael, with some additional cells. In fact, the National Weather Service, while you were speaking just a couple of moments ago, has indicated that this area I just pointed out is primed for all hazards. That would include additional damaging thunderstorm winds over 60 miles an hour, hail up to or over 1 inch, some very heavy rainfall, and of course we are under that tornado watch, so the possibility would be with us for a tornado as we go through the next 1 to 2 hours. But again, that really is the focus. You can clearly see, we'll expand this out just a little bit for you. That shows the area that we're watching north and west of Columbus. That's the cluster of lightning in those individual cells, and then the other one to the west. So again, nothing south and east pretty much of those cells right now, but a closer inspection will continue to make that area something we're looking and watching very closely during the course of the evening. As we get through the soccer match in the second half, we will break into coverage if necessary, but right now, again, we're focusing on those particular areas. You can clearly see just what appears to be dozens, if not hundreds, of lightning flashes in those two clusters, one to the north and one to the west. I would say of those two, Michael, we're looking at the opportunity. I think that cell to the west is probably a bit more concerning, and that are just west of Urbana, because I believe it does have showing some rotation, but also because if we extrapolate that out, I believe it was moving at about 45 miles an hour. That would put that storm getting close to the 10 TV viewing area, coming up in about let's say moving off to the northeast. So we're talking about, as I get out of the way, around London 415, Madison Lake around 419, West Jeff 427, Hilliard, Dublin, Columbus. That's 437, 441, and 447 for that particular cell. And if it's exhibiting any other characteristics, then we may have to break into that soccer match just to keep everybody safe as that's heading toward the metro just before our 5 o'clock news.
And speaking of updates to the watches that we're under right now, while counties to the northwest of Ohio have been cleared from the watch, as we're really just watching this single round of storms come through, much of the rest of the region now added to the tornado watch. You can see the latest map here on your screen where we've added pretty much everyone to the east and northeast of Columbus to the tornado watch. That covers all the way out into western Pennsylvania and up past Cleveland. Some of these counties under the new watch, it looks like it's going to continue until midnight tonight for counties out in the eastern portions of the state. That does include Guernsey County, Coshocton County, Noble County under that, as well as Muskingum County under that tornado watch till midnight tonight. On up into the Cleveland area, a number of counties including Knox, Marion County under that that tornado watch until midnight or 7 o'clock tonight. So kind of a couple county difference between midnight and 7 o'clock here this evening. I would not really expect the threat to make it that deep into the evening. The Weather Service kind of extends these a little bit longer than where we think the threat's going to be, just so that people have ample time to stay aware, and if something were to happen, it slowly storms down, kind of keeps people ready to watch the alerts as they change. So that's going to be something to keep in mind on, Jerry, as we head through the rest of this afternoon, that we are, again, keeping an eye out for tornadoes that could form in these storms.
Yeah, we've been watching that, Michael. Thanks again, a Doppler 10 meteorologist extraordinaire, Michael Behrens, and I kind of walking you through some of the details on what we're watching in the Doppler 10 Weather Center and sharing that with you on 10 TV Plus. Coming up in just a few seconds, we're going to continue on 10 TV Plus, but also cut in briefly to our main 10 TV on-air channel, just to bring those folks up to speed who might be enjoying that soccer match. So again, we're looking at the big picture right now. That shows a lot of yellow on this map, and the yellow has been expanding off toward the east. That simply means that that tornado watch, that's the yellow, that was into effect for 7 o'clock and still is for Columbus, that has been extended a lot later in the evening for the counties all the way over to the West Virginia Panhandle. So watching and tracking those storms, please keep safe, keep your plan in place. If you don't have a plan, now is the opportunity to make one. At the moment, the severe thunderstorms are focusing off toward the north. We will break into coverage if necessary. All right, thanks again for joining us and continuing joining us on 10 TV Plus. We're breaking in quickly to WBNS 10 TV meteorologist Michael Behrens, joining along Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz, and for a quick cut in on what we're looking at for the rest of the afternoon. So just bring you up to speed right now. We're watching this line of some downpours and some gusty thunderstorms that has continued to push the winds up to 60 miles an hour and hail up to 1 inch. At the current time, we're only seeing a lot of yellow. That is the tornado watch until 7 o'clock for much of central Ohio and later off toward the east. We're watching severe thunderstorm warnings for Marion, Crawford, Wyandotte, and Hardin County. Those go for about another 20 minutes. And we're also looking at a severe thunderstorm warning over in Champaign and Clark County, and that area again goes a little bit longer. But we're watching those cells moving east at about 45 to 50 miles an hour, still favoring the areas along the north of Interstate 70. So that's the area that we're watching right now. Again, even if you're not seeing severe weather at the moment, it's an opportunity for you to have that plan. If you don't have a plan, just maybe gather your thoughts together in the event that a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning is issued. That is still likely in some spots, especially across the north, and is possible just about anywhere in central Ohio as we go for the next 1 to 2 hours. If you're just joining us again, we're doing a quick weather cut-in. We're not going to have a regular scheduled 5 p.m. or 4 o'clock newscast on WBNS. We will be having a 5 and 6 p.m. newscast, but if deemed necessary and the severe weather breaks out, we will break in quickly to the soccer match to keep you and your family safe. If not, we'll see you on 10 TV at 5 p.m. issued tornado warning. That is in effect for Marion County. That goes until 4:30. Quick look at the radar scan, setting up the stage for you that shows these thunderstorms kind of arcing out ahead of a cold front and moving very quickly from west to east. The opportunity has been with us for the past couple of hours for those strong to severe thunderstorms, and right now we're looking at the worst of which just to the north. So if we can get this to track for me, I want to go back and show those particular storms off toward the north. That area right now again seems to be rather ominous. You do see again that red outline. That is a tornado warning. That is until 4:30. That includes much of Marion County and then gets into western Morrow County. That is until 4:30 p.m. Radar scan again does show the activity moving from west to east very quickly. We're going to get a closer inspection then and look at that particular storm. I'm not sure what's going on right now, Michael. Maybe you could flip the trigger there and get me back to the interactivity here, again, focusing in and around Marion County. That's the opportunity again. Thank you so much. That is looking quickly at areas to the north. That area again right there with that cell moving from west to east, south of Bucyrus, focused on Marion, heading over toward Morrow County right now. That's where we're looking at that particular tornado warning that is in effect. This cell right now again has been showing some indications of rotation. We're going to track this out for you, moving east at about 45 to 50 miles an hour. We're going to go with the squall because this storm has a little bit of north to south extent. So we're going to go right along that particular line. We're going to pull it out to about 45 miles an hour. That shows the areas as I move out of the way. Marion, 4:09. You've got a few minutes to get your plan in action. Galleon at 4:18, Mount Gilead at 4:33, Mansfield at 4:36, and Belleville at 4:47. Again, tornado warning for Marion County and western Morrow County that goes on until 4:30 p.m. We don't have a regular newscast this afternoon on WBNS because of the soccer match, and apologize for interrupting that. But again, severe weather once again impacting central Ohio, this time favoring the areas to the north with this particular cell. So I've been joined by meteorologist Michael Behrens during the course of the afternoon. Michael, we've been watching the situation evolving very slowly, but has been picking up steam over the past hour. In fact, we just did an extended version of our broadcast on 10 TV Plus, and now that's showing what appears to be pretty significant weather just off toward the north. Maybe we can do a quick deep dive into that particular storm and then toss it back over, and we'll keep people up to speed. Yeah, the storms we were watching this afternoon, if you've been joining us on 10 TV Plus, we were talking about that line that was to the north of Franklin County and the fact that there were several areas of interest in there that could be rotating, and one of those now prompting a tornado warning for portions of Marion County. So let's go ahead and take a closer look inside that particular storm here this evening. We'll switch over to the view that gives us the view of the winds inside that particular storm. We'll switch to the Cleveland radar here to give you the picture of what we're looking at, and you can see the clear area of potential rotation to the east of Marion. That is going to be riding along right along Ohio 95. That came together near LaRue. That's right now working its way just to the southeast of Big Island. It's going to be heading pretty much right toward Marion, if not toward the northwest side of Marion. So if you're in the city of Marion right now, definitely need to be in your shelters from this storm. Showing those signs of rotation here this evening. We'll get in close and show you some of the streets that are going to be impacted here. You can see right there, looks like Upper Sandusky Road North is to the immediate west of the area of rotation. It's going to be heading toward West Fairground Street, Marion Williamsport Road onto Ohio 4, US 23, all areas that are going to be in the immediate path of the storm. If these roads sound familiar to you, these are areas you need to take shelter now as this storm rotates on the northwest side of the city of Marion. You can see that rotation now moving along West Fairground Street, working its way toward Ohio 4. Definitely seeing the clear signs of rotation in this storm, Jerry. Thanks a lot, Michael. Again, a little dissection of that particular storm. This just popped up in the past couple of minutes. This line of thunderstorms has been very active to the north of I-70, moving east at about 45 miles an hour. And a closer inspection to that particular cell around Marion does show the activity then coming back in and producing that tornado warning. So we're looking then at the area just to the north. We're going to slow down the radar for you, take a closer inspection of that particular cell right now, as Michael just did a bit of a deeper dive. So the area we're looking at, again, very closely just in and around Marion County and over toward the north and west. That area is something that we're watching very closely because it's showing some rotation, and that's what we're looking at right now. We'll get this map centered back up in and around that area. Closer inspection again north of Delaware. We're looking right around Marion. This is up 23. A lot of roads in and around here, but also a lot of country land around Marion. But again, eastern half of the county, you are under the threat, as is western parts of Morrow County. That includes Mount Gilead, just near Ashley, Marengo, South south of Galion, south of Bucyrus, southeast of Upper and Sandusky, but clearly Marion is under the main threat from this particular storm right now. Let's take a closer inspection and get you down into some of those street level areas that show the location of the particular storm. As Michael just did, we're looking at areas around Waldo, just south of Caledonia. There's Route 98, Route 309. There's 23 extending and turning around Marion, a very well-traveled road. Again, if you're along that area and just east of that, this is an opportunity for you to seek shelter, do what you can to keep you and your family safe, and get out of harm's way. The opportunity, again, for this storm to become tornadic is something we've been talking about and watching. Another location, Big Island, down toward Green Camp, just north of Prospect, along the Soda River. Again, this particular storm has been moving east and doing some damage in terms of wind and hail, but this is the first instance we've seen of a tornado warning in this particular line of thunderstorms. So again, we're breaking into coverage right now. The opportunity continues for us to at least 4:30 p.m. when this particular cell, we're going to zoom out for a second to give a little bit of perspective and then put a track on that particular storm as it moves off toward the east. You can see right now that particular storm has been moving west to east at about 45 miles an hour. We're going to get a track on that, and we'll put a little bit of a line on that particular storm because of the length north to south. So right now we're looking at an area moving east at about 45 miles an hour. That's something that we're paying very close attention to, and you should be too. If any of these towns or communities, if I get out of the way, towns or communities, Marion, Caledonia, over toward Mount Gilead, Jugs Corners, and Belleville, those are under the path of the storm. Again, it's moving almost in central and northern parts of Marion County and then northern Morrow County. South of that, Ashley, Marengo, Chesterville, and over toward areas east of that, not completely out of the woods, but at this moment, that tornado warning is in effect for Morrow County and Marion County until 4:30. So another 25 minutes as this particular storm is racing through. At this time, really not comfortable calling anybody west of that line in terms of the all clear. You do see the scope of that particular warning again. Everybody in the yellow still under the threat of a tornado watch in effect for 7 o'clock for much of central Ohio. But the game right now we're watching, Michael, is that storm in and around Marion and Morrow County. This look right now, just some new information coming in. Very ugly look right now in terms of the roads and the rain and the wind. I believe that's US 23 north at State Route 95. Traffic still seems to be moving. See some flashers on in both the foreground and in the background right there. But please, if you're in and around any of these areas, seek shelter as that tornado warning is in effect for Marion and Morrow County until 4:30. Michael?
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on the winds inside these storms to see how quickly some of these rotations can spin up and if they remain sustained as storms move closer toward the radar over in the Cleveland, Ohio part of the state. This is giving us the best picture inside the storms right now. Of course, the one under the tornado warning down in Marion County, that rotation now to the northeast side of the city of Marion, Williamsport Road, Highway 23, areas that are impacted right now of the immediate danger from the storm that's going to be working its way off toward Ohio 98, likely toward Caledonia here in the next little bit, and over toward likely the south or near Kirkpatrick. As far as other areas of concern, been seeing some signs on the radar here, not a tornado warning at the moment, but up in just to the north of Marion County, up in Crawford County, Bucyrus, it looks like there could be some potentially rotating storms working their way toward the Bucyrus area right now as well, just from the signature here on radar. If you're in Bucyrus, I would go ahead and treat this storm as a dangerous storm as well, so seek some shelter from this particular part of the storm as it moves to the north and east would be a good advice for areas of Crawford County, Bucyrus to Holmes, eventually up toward the Tyro area. This will be heading your direction, but of course we do have the tornado warning right now in place in Marion County for that storm that's been rotating past the city of Marion. These are areas to watch very carefully as new data continues to come in. The storm that is up in Crawford County is a severe thunderstorm warned storm. So in addition to the heavy rain, the lightning, and the potential for rotation, we've seen the strong winds here this afternoon, and we've seen the hail threat as well. We'll give you a quick picture of the hail. Very strong hail signature working its way toward Bucyrus. This is likely around size of quarter-inch hail coming down in the Holmes area, eventually over toward Bucyrus, south of Broken Sword. So this is going to be an area to watch carefully over the next little bit as the hail threat continues, and watch carefully as the potential for rotation continues in these storms, Jerry.
Michael, we've got some new warnings coming in right now. I think you might have just touched on one of them. That is that severe thunderstorm warning that is just south and west of that tornadic cell. We're going to do a quick look right now and show you the latest warnings, and then we will get down to the nitty-gritty and where those storms are. You do see that area in red obviously drawing your attention. That is the tornado warning for Marion and Marion County, central and eastern Marion County, western and central parts of Marion County. That goes until 4:30 p.m. Areas in orange, north and south of that, those are severe thunderstorm warnings, now including parts of Union County, Delaware County, and the northwestern corner of Madison County. Those are because of winds up to or over 60 miles an hour and 1 inch or greater sized hail. So again, just putting perspective over the whole viewing area, this is the area clearly where the focus is, north and west of Columbus. But unfortunately, and we'll put the radar for you in just a second, that area is moving off toward the east, pretty much following right along I-70. We fortunately have not seen a whole lot of activity south of I-70, although the opportunity is there for that line to extend between now and about 6 p.m. But we're breaking into coverage if you're just joining us. We don't have a regular scheduled newscast at 4 o'clock today because of scheduled soccer, but we are breaking in because of the threat for severe weather, most notably some of those storms to our north and west, meaning northwest of Columbus, where that radar is most active. So let's take a closer look right now at those areas that are really under the greatest threat. Those would include areas right around Marion, south and west toward Marysville. There's Delaware. We're looking at Upper Sandusky and Kenton. You're in the clear right now. Back edge of the thunderstorms are moving to your east very quickly at about 45 miles an hour, and the storm extends along with a severe weather threat as we go through parts of Crawford County as well. So keep that in mind as we're looking at the bigger picture right now. We're going to take a closer inspection of that particular cell that is watched beyond tornadic right now. That's in and around Marion. So that's what we're looking at with the cell that is just around Marion and moving off toward the east. I'm going to turn off the lightning for you to kind of clean things up a little bit, and that simply will show the area in the darker red and the areas probably producing a little bit of hail as well and some very heavy rain along with that frequent lightning. But we're going to get down closer to that storm and show you a little bit of some of the street level areas that we're really concerned about right now. So if we're looking at some of these roads, if they ring a bell or if you know somebody that is in and around these areas, south of Caledonia, heading toward Cardington, over toward areas around Mount Gilead, West Point, Galleon. Again, downtown Marion right now, seek shelter as the storm's rotation has been indicated to reach the ground. That's why there is a tornado warning in effect for this area for another 19 minutes. We see the areas again just off toward the east of this cell where it's beginning to move. There's downtown Marion. There's 23 going just east of town. 529. There's Marion Williamsport Road east, and some of the areas just to the east of that, again, a little more concerning right now. There's Edgefield Boulevard, Pole Lane Road to the north and east, but again, traveling out of town on 95 or north-south on 98, if you live around any of those areas, please seek shelter. And we've talked about this, unfortunately, enough already this spring, but just a reminder, if you are under a tornado warning, the simplest thing that you can do, whether you're in an apartment building, whether you're in a mobile home, whether you're in a sturdy structure, or anywhere, just keep as many walls between you and the outside as possible. It's an opportunity to hopefully deflect any damage or flying debris, and that's exactly the advice that we're trying to share with you right now in parts of Marion County and soon to be over toward Marion County. So again, Bucyrus, Marion, and Richwood kind of connected those dots. The worst of the weather right now is in and around Marion because of that tornadic cell. Take a quick inspection, if we could, on some of the areas we're watching right now, and perhaps that's going to continue to show some rotation. Michael, we're kind of in between radar locations between Cleveland and between Wilmington, but this is still showing some rotation. Again, the red and the green next to each other, that's an area where that shows that the storm has been rotating, and unfortunately it looks like that rotation in this instance, eastern Marion County, is now reaching the ground, forming that tornado.
Yeah, I mean, we're watching several areas of potential rotation in these storms, and while that rotation down in Marion County, we've been keeping a close eye on it for the past several scans, I'm also still concerned about what I'm seeing on the radar up in Crawford County. That's where I'm thinking there's certainly a good potential for this storm to be rotating. I'm going to switch over to the Cleveland view of the radar here in Crawford County. Once again, this is not under a tornado warning, but the sign that I'm seeing here on the radar near Bucyrus is certainly something worth concern, at least to me, where I'm seeing winds going fairly strongly away from and toward the radar. That's tracking to the northeast of the city of Bucyrus right now, basically right along portions of Ohio 98. This is north of Lincoln Highway. This I would treat as a potentially tornadic storm, even though it's not under a tornado warning right now, just from the sign that we're seeing here on radar. At least to me, Jerry, I don't know if you would take the same analysis of this, but this is, to me, a concerning feature up in the Bucyrus area, in addition to the potential for rotation that we've seen down in Marion County for the storm that is under a tornado warning right now. That's moving off to the east of the city of Marion. It's going to be heading toward the south of Caledonia right now, pretty much right, it looks like potentially, I would say the most concerning area is probably heading toward Caledonia right now, because that's the area that tracked north of Marion, though again, it looks like there may be some additional circulation south of there. Once you get a little bit further away from the radar, it's always harder to tell. But again, what I'm seeing up toward Bucyrus, that's a concerning radar signature to me.
It is. In fact, as you were speaking, Mike, I was going to interrupt you, but you're on a roll for a second there. That National Weather Service has extended that severe thunderstorm warning for that particular cell, exactly what you were talking about, just to the north. That goes until 4:30. So that's something we're watching again very closely. So closer inspection again, we'll put things into perspective for you. We're watching severe weather breaking out across the northern parts of the viewing area. That's been the case over about the past 20 minutes. We were bringing people up to speed on a quick cut-in just during halftime of the soccer match. Unfortunately, we're interrupting that soccer match because of the severe weather right now. So a quick look right now at the bigger picture. There's the cells. You see these boxes indicating severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warning from Marion over toward Marion County, and a continuation of severe thunderstorm warnings back toward Delaware, Union County, and then back toward the south and west of that over toward Madison County as well. But the most important part of this line, the most worrisome part of this line, still continues to be that one around Marion. We're going to go and show the radar data that you were looking at also, Michael. And what we're looking at right here, if we can get to a different radar scan for us, that does show the area that we're watching with the velocity. That's where the storm is spinning. We're looking at that, and that's showing the areas. We'll go from the Cleveland radar right now, and that should show a little bit of that area of action, all the lightning, of course, and we'll put that into perspective and get the sweep on there, the velocity, I should say. That does show, again, the red and the green showing up right next to each other. There are also other areas that are concerning, along with that storm relative spin that's spinning inside the thunderstorm cloud and then making its way down to the ground. That's why that area, again, is very concerning. So let's put a track on that for you. This particular cell, main one right now in Marion. We're going to do a little closer inspection and move the map out of the way to allow put that track, because these storms are moving at a pretty good clip at about 45 miles an hour, almost due west to east. So as we draw out this particular area, we're going to put a bit of a squall line on that because it is extending from north to south at a pretty good clip and then moving east at about 45 miles an hour. So if you are in the path of this storm, or if you know people that are in the path of this storm, Marengo, Centerburg, Mount Vernon, Danville, those areas 4:16, 4:33, 4:40, and then 4:53 p.m., and then 5:08 in Newcastle. Now again, the eastern extent of these towns that I just mentioned are not currently in the tornado warning, but the towns closer, Marengo and Centerburg and Mount Vernon, still grave concern from that particular cell as it is working in. Just kind of zooming things out for a second, there is the only tornado warning that we're seeing. Everybody else that's shaded in the yellow, those are tornado watches. 7 o'clock for central Ohio and a couple hours later further off toward the east. I do expect, though, as we go through this evening and this line of storms passes, that we are going to see a bit of improvement, meaning that that thunderstorm threat will begin to taper off quickly, but that's not the case right now. So if you're just joining us, we're breaking into coverage because of the potential for severe weather across central Ohio, especially across the northern parts of the viewing area. That's what we're watching very closely with the tornadic thunderstorm in and around Marion right now. That's the area we're seeing bounded by that particular box. Closer inspection to that particular cell is something we're looking at very closely. Michael Behrens joining me all afternoon with extended coverage once again. And that area, again, you see it bounded by the yellow. That is an indication of a rotating thunderstorm, and that's moving off toward the east. So we mentioned some of those counties, Michael, and communities north and south of this particular line. Still want to focus, of course, on our friends in Marion. A quick reminder, the simplest advice for a tornado warning, just get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. But as we've been watching and dissecting some of these storms, it's been clear to us that a lot of these storms have been rotating. That's something that's very concerning. But at this time, fortunately, that's the only storm around Marion that is showing signs of actually producing a tornado.
Yeah, that storm that is working its way through Marion is certainly one to watch carefully. In fact, they've just extended the tornado warning for that particular portion of the storm, and it does look like they've included portions of Crawford County under that tornado warning. Crawford County, Marion, Morrow counties under tornado warning this afternoon, just issued by the National Weather Service office out of Cleveland. That's going to go until 5 o'clock tonight. This covers eastern portions of Marion County, Morrow County, and southeastern Crawford County. The part of the storm that they were concerned about was located near the Mount Gilead area and moving to the east at about 50 miles per hour. So again, we're watching this storm continue to show signs of rotation. We'll take the close view into the winds inside this particular storm. Switching over to the Cleveland radar again, giving us the best picture here. We're seeing that sign of rotation still up along the Marion County line as it's pushing into portions of Morrow County at this time. That's the same portion of the storm that's been rotating for the past several scans here. I'm just going to draw kind of a crude line on the map back toward LaRue. This is the part of the storm that was rotating, and that's where we find it now, circulated right up to the northwest of the Mount Gilead area, where we're watching that rotation form and continue to stay formed on radar. We'll take a closer view in here. It's south of the Martell area, right along, or if not just slightly north of County Road 59 and Ohio 309. This is going to be working its way toward St. James as we head through the next little bit, eventually on toward North Bloomfield, up to the northwest of Jugg's Corners, if not close to Jugg's Corners. And then, of course, we're keeping an eye on that storm up in Bucyrus as well, up in Crawford County toward Bucyrus as well. That scan not as impressive as it was a little bit ago, but still certainly some signs of rotation potentially in Crawford County. So do treat that storm as a dangerous storm as well. And just to reset things here across the region for all of our viewers who are under warnings at this time, severe thunderstorm warnings stretch all the way back down to the southwest toward portions of Clark, Champaign, and Madison counties. Seeing those storms come through, including portions of Union County on up into Marion, Delaware County, all under severe thunderstorm warnings right now. We're seeing additional storms develop back to the west of Washington Courthouse. Those will likely be worth watching here in the coming hours as they start to form an environment that has not seen storms move through yet. Wouldn't be too surprised if some of those start to gain a little bit of strength here, but the concern right now again being that storm that is in portions of working its way out of Marion County into Morrow County and that potential rotation northwest of the Mount Gilead area. Jerry.
That's right, Michael. We're watching that particular storm. The lightning flash is kind of obscuring some of the fine details of that storm, but a big picture, then we're going to zoom in closer to that particular cell. Areas along and south of I-70 right now, you have not seen much activity during the course of the afternoon, but this area might see some active weather, so we're still watching. But Columbus northward, that right now is where all the action is, so we're going to take you a closer inspection and show you those areas of great concern. We're looking to the north right now, Marion over toward Bucyrus, Crawford County, back to the southwest, thunderstorm warnings all the way back towards Champaign and Clark County as well. In terms of the current information we're watching in the watches and the warnings for you, the areas shaded in the orange, those are severe thunderstorm warnings until 4:45 for these counties back to the south and west. Again, back toward Madison County and Union County and up toward the northeast. Those go until 5 p.m. This particular tornado warning, you do see the central and western parts of Marion County, including Marion proper. They have been cleared from the tornado warning as this storm is moving east at almost highway speeds, 50 plus miles an hour. Now that is shifted off toward the east, central, and northern parts of Morrow County, and that's where our concern is, and that's where we're going to take you right now with a little closer inspection of that particular cell. So closer look for that one right now. And again, that one cell we're watching was of grave concern because it's been showing rotation that has reached down to the ground, and that's what we're watching very closely. So just to put it in a bit more perspective, there's Delaware, central and northern parts of Delaware County, including the city proper. They're under a severe thunderstorm warning. Areas to the north, that includes areas in eastern parts of Crawford County, severe thunderstorm warning there. This area leaving Marion right now, heading toward Morrow County, just north of Marengo, that is where that tornado warning is, and that's where we're going to track that for you.
Jerry, I want to grab you for a moment here, just to inform our viewers. Brand new tornado warning coming into the 10 TV Weather Center right now. This is going to be for the west side of the viewing area. This is a tornado warning that covers portions of Champaign, Madison, and Union County. counties. National Weather Service tracking a storm showing rotation that was near the Mechanicsburg area, moving east at about 40 miles per hour. This tornado warning going to be in effect until 4:45 here this afternoon. So this tornado warning definitely a little bit closer to central portions of the 10 TV viewing area and working its way, if it holds together, potentially up toward the northwestern side of Franklin County. So I do want to go ahead and take a look inside this particular storm as well. We'll get a closer view here. We'll switch over to the Wilmington radar to show you what we could potentially be seeing inside this storm. The area of concern has been, like I said, up to the northwest of the Mechanicsburg area. You can see some of those reds and greens coming together there. I'm going to switch to the Dayton radar real quick and see if I can get a better view inside that particular part of the storm. It's hard to see the best view of the rotation here, but it's likely going to be, again, in this area up here that was off near the Mechanicsburg area and moving toward the east. So I want to go ahead and put a storm track on that particular part of the storm and track it off to the east here at about 40 miles per hour to give you kind of a picture of what's going to be down the line from this storm over the next hour or so. It's going to be Unionville Center at 4:40 this afternoon, working its way toward Plain City, 4:46, Jerome Township, 4:54, and toward Dublin by 4:58. So again, this is a new tornado warning, covers portions of Champaign, Union, and Madison County here this afternoon. Just the latest in the line of warnings that we've seen for storms that have been rotating across central Ohio this afternoon. And that one comes pretty much right up to the border of us here in Franklin County this afternoon, Jerry. So we're going to be continuing to track not just these storms, but the continuing storms that are developing and working their way across our viewing area here on this fairly warm spring afternoon.
Yeah, you've been talking about a couple of things, Michael. That's the areas we're watching severe tornado watch, excuse me. That's been issued early this afternoon. That's everybody shaded in yellow till at least 7 o'clock. The couple of areas we're focusing on red right now, just giving you a big picture before we drill down closer. These are tornado warnings until 5 p.m. and for Marion County until 4:45. That includes areas south of Marysville, just around Plain City. And if that tracks, it will track right along the Franklin County, Delaware County border, which is a highly populated area. And that would be the case between about 4:45 and 5 o'clock p.m. So we're going to watch that very, very closely. But then everybody is still under a tornado watch. All the counties shaded in yellow till 7 o'clock, but those counties that are shaded in the red right now, those are the areas that we're watching most closely. So take a look at the radar scan for us. That gets us into the radar for you. That will show the areas where we're looking at the deeper reds and some of the oranges, moving from west to east at about 45 to 50 miles an hour. Now, the extent of the storms has not yet made it to the south, but I do want to draw your attention quickly to something we've been watching, is that the area to the south and west of this particular line, that hasn't shown a whole lot of activity. Right now, though, we're seeing a couple of those cells popping up right now, individual cells east of Dayton, that's west of Madison County, and then west of Fayette County. That area, if it pops up some of those cells, Michael, they could remain some kind of individual characteristics, maybe a supercell, which has a higher likelihood of producing tornadoes, hail, and some damaging winds. But at the moment, our focus still is off toward the north. We're doing a quick tour right now of those particular cells. The one we're watching continues to be of grave concern to the north. That is between Morrow County and Marion County. Closer inspection right there. That's what we're looking at as that storm moves off toward the northeast and does so at about 50 miles an hour. So we're looking at it exiting areas of Morrow County, or Marion County, excuse me, heading over toward Morrow County. Again, northern parts of Morrow County, north of Mount Gilead. That's the area we're watching very closely. Put a track on that particular storm for you. We'll give it a little bit of a squall line perspective because it is, again, kind of a north to south extent, not just a singular cell. As we move that out, this one moving, latest check at 50 miles an hour, I believe. So in and around these counties, we'll look at Hanley Village at 4:37, Belleville 4:40, Loudonville at 4:57 near Mohican Park, over toward Ripley at 5:08, and Millersburg at 5:23 p.m. Anywhere even a little bit north or south of that area, and even though this extends beyond the initial tornado warning, please take shelter, take precautions. Quick, you have a few minutes to make a plan, and that plan for a tornado warning is exceptionally simple. Get inside a sturdy structure and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Now let's turn our attention for a moment to the cell that is just south of Marysville, moving east at about 40 miles an hour. That particular cell is what we're watching, and this one is something that has been showing signs of rotation over the past hour, is now beginning to light up just a little bit more, and that's something that has alarmed us, and of course the National Weather Service has been issuing these tornado warnings very quickly. exactly. So that's the cell right there. There's Madison County, Union County, and then heading over toward just stopping short of Franklin County right now. Let's get a track on that particular cell for us as we're moving at about 40 miles an hour, maybe a little bit slower than some of its nearer neighbors. But as we're looking at this particular cell, it is kind of maintaining its integrity, Michael, and that's something that is alarming for us. Again, just along the Madison County over toward the Union County line. We're going to put a track on that, and again, about 40 miles an hour. That does show the activity moving from west to east, just perhaps slightly north of east. Get out of the way and stretch it out to about 40 miles an hour. So some familiar towns and communities right now are under the threat from this particular thunderstorm. It's heading into more highly populated areas. West Jeff at 442, Alton at 450, Hilliard at 454, Upper Arlington 5 o'clock. Over toward Columbus proper at 506, Bexley, Gehanna, Reynoldsburg, and Pickerington. Even though those areas extend beyond the current tornado warning, this is your lookout. This is your warning from the Doppler 10 weather team to seek shelter, have a plan, and get ready to put that plan in place. Unfortunately, the timing of this, Michael, couldn't be worse. We're talking about kids getting out of school, rush hour starting, if not already continuing, and that's something that is concerning because a lot of people might not be outside at this time, but they're certainly getting out and about, might not be fully aware of what's going on, which is why we're going into some extended coverage this Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, people heading out on the roads, getting out of work here this afternoon, going to be an issue as these storms work their way toward the Columbus metro. We really haven't seen any severe weather in the city yet, but that's out toward our west now, and this is your heads up that it's tracking our way. So make sure you're prepared. If you are at a place of safe shelter, possibly stay there till the storms pass. Head home a little bit late. It's probably a better idea than trying to head out on the roads into potentially hailstorms, windstorms, and the possibility of rotating thunderstorms out there this afternoon. I want to take a quick tour through some of the winds inside these storms across central Ohio. We have that first area that we've been watching for the past little bit of rotation that's been up in Morrow County. Still seeing at least some possible broad rotation, but I think this is potentially transitioning more to a wind-driven storm here toward the Mount Gilead area. I'll switch over toward the Columbus radar, and you can see a very well-defined sort of bow echo in the winds here. This is likely going to be an area of strong winds coming out of that storm. Some of those storms this afternoon have potentially the possibility for winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour. So if you're in portions of Morrow County, eventually off into Knox County and south portions of Richland County, these would be areas that I would watch for some very strong winds heading your way in short order. I want to track over toward the Champaign County storm that's heading its way toward Union, Madison County. Looking off the Columbus radar here as well, you can see the area of concern in that storm. This is going to be north of Mechanicsburg. We are still fairly far away from the storm at the moment on the Columbus radar, so it's hard to get the best picture of it, but we're kind of splitting that difference between two different radar sites, between the radar at the Columbus airport and the radar at the Dayton airport. We'll switch over to that one as well, and it gives you the same kind of idea. It's in the area to the north of Mechanicsburg that we have the risk of a rotating thunderstorm, potentially tornadic thunderstorm that's about to cross out of Champaign County into southern portions of, I believe that's Union County there. Going to be seeing that storm enter your neck of the woods here shortly, and if it continues to rotate, it will eventually work its way off toward portions of potentially us here in Franklin County. So this is going to be the one to watch over the next little bit as this storm continues to develop and work its way toward us here. That's still the most concerning part of it, moving off toward the east at about 40 miles per hour. We'll put that storm tracker on it here for you again and show you where we'll be here in the next hour. Unionville Center at 441, Plain City 447, Dublin at 459, Worthington 507, Gehanna at 519. So as you said, Jerry, many of those towns on the map there not under tornado warnings at this time, but this is again that heads up that this storm is heading its way toward Franklin County. It's going to be here in the next hour, and if you don't have to get out on the roads before the storm gets here, just wait it out a little bit.
Yeah, they are moving at a pretty good clip, Michael, and the silver lining to this might be that behind this line of storms, we're not seeing any further development, at least of severe weather. So once we get past this line, which is moving east at about 40 to 50 miles an hour, between now and about 7 p.m., after we get past that, we are going to settle things down. One other thing I'm watching right now, and is a bit concerning, is that these individual cells on the tail end of this particular line are maintaining their integrity. They're kind of sticking together, moving in a slightly different direction. And it just, if you were outside today, you know how windy it was was. That's just part of the equation that goes into these severe thunderstorms. But those particular cells obviously are something that are concerning because they're also taking aim on highly populated areas in and around central Ohio, including Franklin County. So that's something that we will be paying very close attention to over the next 60 to 90 minutes. So again, pausing this for a second, the worst weather clearly right along and north of I-70, multiple severe thunderstorm warnings because of gusts up to 60 miles an hour and up to 1 inch or greater hail. Then we've got a few individual cells south of I-70, south and east of Columbus right now, windy and sunny and warm and humid. And again, part of the equation that goes into the ingredients for a severe weather event. But let's start you off from north to south and go along some of those lines of thunderstorms that we're watching most closely. That area, again, you see those individual polygons kind of merging together where you see the areas around Marion County over toward Marion County. That is continuing. And I believe I'm seeing a new severe thunderstorm warning, I believe, Michael. That's something we're looking at, I believe, for Coshocton County right now as that storm, that's Knox County, excuse me, moving off toward the east. So a continuation of those particular cells. So I'm going to expand this out just a little bit. That will allow us to get some perspective on here. Again, we're looking at some locations, not a ton of population. Marion now, you're in the clear. Earlier, you were right in the path of that particular storm. We've got our news crews and the team here at the 10 TV Center looking and listening for any damage reports, but right now we're looking ahead in the areas that the storm is moving toward. That would include areas east of Morrow County right now. So we're going to track that for you. This storm off to the north at latest check was moving at about 50 miles an hour. We're going to pull that out to that speed and we're going to match that and talk about Gambier, Genoa Township, Utica, again, ice cream capital there, 459, you're under the gun, Warsaw at 516. That's this northernmost cell. Further off toward the south and west, we're seeing this other tornado warning. This one is just to the north of Madison County, just to the south of Marysville, in and around Plain City. Now, there are some other strong to severe thunderstorms, but that's the one we're watching most closely and we're going to pay attention to right now. Closer inspection to that particular cell as we get down into the street level for you. That's the area that concerns us the most because in large part it's heading towards some pretty populated areas right now. So we're watching an entire line producing some severe weather, but most notably this area, this cell, just south and west at 36 and 33. There's Marysville, south of that, again moving off toward the east. Going to get a bit of a track here for you. And if you are in any of these towns that I'm mentioning, or if you know somebody that is, or even around these towns, this is a severe thunderstorm line that is producing some tornadoes along that line. And that's, again, why we're taking this particular area so carefully, so intently right now. We're going to move that out. I believe, Michael, this was still at 40 miles an hour. So we're going to pull that out till we reach that particular speed. And many of these communities, very familiar to you. West Jeff at 439, Prairie Township 449, Upper Arlington 457, Columbus 502. I want to pause for a second because these latter communities, including Columbus, are not yet in a tornado warning. But if indications have continued, as they have for the past hour, Michael, that line will move into Franklin County and could produce, again, Bexley, Gahanna, 506 and 511, Reynoldsburg, Picktown, 517, 521, and then further off toward the east, even Pataskala and Johnstown as we get closer to 5:30 this evening.
Yeah, we'll be watching these storms very carefully and the potential for rotation in these storms carefully as well. You mentioned just a little bit ago the new severe thunderstorm watch that was up on the north side of the viewing area. Quite a large severe thunderstorm warning, and it's been issued with the risk that it could be something that could turn tornadic later on. That's an area sort of giving you an enhanced warning to be like, hey, we're not seeing anything that's worth a tornado warning right now, but that could change quickly. And I want to draw your attention to the scope of this particular warning as well. It's the largest one we've seen so far today, covering a good section of the northeast side of the 10 TV viewing area. And inside that, it does look like they've gone ahead and issued a new tornado warning. So this new tornado warning is for portions of Ashland, Holmes, Knox, Morrow, and Richland counties. That's going to be going until 5:15 here this evening. The area of concern there was located near Chesterville, 10 miles to the east of Mount Gilead. It's going to be moving to the east at about 50 miles per hour. So again, this is still impacting portions of the 10 TV viewing area up in Knox County and Morrow County. County. So this is going to be another area of concern that we have to keep a close eye on here this evening as that rotation potential continues. You can see a couple areas, honestly, in here that have that potential for rotation inside the storm as we see the evolution of these storms here this evening. That area to the east of Mount Gilead, really the easiest area of concern, that's going to be working its way likely north of Belleville here in the next little while. It's right now to the northeast of the shock area, and it's going to be moving toward portions of Ohio 546 and Interstate 71, tracking right along sort of the northeasterly path of US 42. You can see that area of rotation where the greens and the reds come together. This is what we've been focusing on here a lot this afternoon when we take these looks inside the storm. It's where you see the greens where the winds are coming toward the radar and the reds where the winds are blowing away from the radar. Putting the arrows on really helps to show where those rotating portions of the storm are, and we're certainly seeing those signs over in portions of now Knox County as these storms work their way out of Morrow County. We also see the possibility of some rotation further up into Richland County and up towards Shelby. Those are areas to be concerned with, and areas of strong wind likely going across I-71 right now on the border between Knox County and what looks to be Licking County, a little bit further north than Licking County, Knox County. Again, seeing that come through right now. So again, we are watching that carefully, and of course we're watching that area of rotation off to the west of Columbus very carefully as well. We'll switch to the Columbus radar here to take a better view inside that particular portion of the storm as well, and it still looks to have the signs of at least some rotation. Just got the new scan there south of Milford Center, where we're still seeing those fairly clear signs of rotation on the Columbus radar here. That's going to be working its way toward Unionville Center here within the next few minutes. If you're in this area, definitely seek shelter from this particular thunderstorm. This is going to be north of Ohio 161, heading toward Middlebridge Plain City Road. So watch out for this storm as it heads further into portions of Union County here this afternoon, Jerry.
Yeah, Michael, watching that storm again, that tornado warning for that particular cell in southern parts of Union County and Madison County. This is what we're looking at right now, where you see this difference between the red and this green and the gray. That's an indication, looking inside that thunderstorm at a couple thousand feet, that it's rotating. So not something that you normally see when you're looking or watching us on 10 TV or maybe looking at a radar scan, but this is what we're looking at inside the storm, as is the National Weather Service. So again, that area just along the county line, which puts Plain City in the sights of this particular storm. That tornado warning in effect for about 5 more minutes. I would not be at all surprised if that particular cell continues to evolve off toward the east and possibly indicates additional tornado warnings, or at least severe thunderstorm warnings for those locations. So closer inspection right now of that particular cell. We're talking about maybe a bit more traditional look for you. That does show the area again. We're looking at between Union County and Madison County, that moving from west to east at about 40 miles an hour. This is the closest tornadic storm into Columbus. And again, we're heading up on 5 o'clock. School's already out. Maybe you're thinking about driving the kids to practice. Maybe you're looking at the opportunity to get out for a walk. I'm telling you right now, if you live anywhere along or north of I-70, put a pause on that. We don't want you going outside. We don't want pictures or videos as the severe weather moves in. We want you to do what you can to keep you and your family safe. That's really important right now, because sometimes just a matter of minutes while you might be watching us, maybe we're interrupting your program, but we're giving you some pretty important information. Again, this line all the way from eastern Crawford County down toward Morrow County, Knox County, eastern parts of Marion County, Delaware County, down toward northwestern Franklin County. Now we're looking at Union County, Madison County, and back to the south and east of Logan County. This entire line is under severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings right now. Most notably, again, we're looking at 2 tornado warnings, one to the northeast and then another one to our immediate west. So we're going to get a little more information on that particular warning for you. Again, putting it into perspective, all these areas in orange, those are severe thunderstorm warnings. We had reports of up to 1 inch or greater hail, wind gusts over 60 miles an hour, producing some potential damage. And then, of course, those 2 areas in the red, those are what we're looking at for those tornadic thunderstorms, which have a history of producing some rotation, but it's only recently that we've seen that rotation really begin to evolve into a tornadic situation. Closer inspection to that cell that's riding just south of Plain City right now, that's what we're looking at for areas just to the east And I believe, unless my eyes deceive me, Michael, that warning has been extended right now. Perhaps you can put a bit more information. It looks like it's been extended all the way over to the corner of Delaware County and including northern parts of Franklin County as well.
Yeah, so they do have that potential for rotating thunderstorm. Severe thunderstorm warning continued into northern portions of Franklin County and southern Delaware County. But I want to update you on a situation we were following here this evening. If you remember, we were telling you, even though there was not a tornado warning in Bucyrus, you should take that storm seriously and treat it as if there was one. And now we are getting reports of damage out of Bucyrus. This is from, I believe, the Bucyrus Police Department. A confirmed rotation caused significant damage to the city. Power lines and trees are down. They're saying do not contact the department or 911 unless you do have an emergency. They're aware that the power is out and that damage is certainly out there, advising people to refrain from being out on the roads. Again, that is up in Bucyrus. That storm we were tracking, again, that was not under a tornado warning at the time, but was showing those concerning signs of rotation. And now we are hearing the reports of damage from Bucyrus. So that's going to be something to watch carefully here as crews start to figure out what exactly went through that town. Again, we are watching several areas of continuing rotating thunderstorms here this evening, including what is tracking toward northern portions of Delaware County. The tornado warning with this storm stops before we get into Delaware County and Franklin County, but the severe thunderstorm warning for the potential of rotation does continue across the border and all the way to the border of Licking County. So again, this is going to be something to watch carefully here as this storm works its way toward us. I want to take a view inside that portion of the thunderstorm here. We'll use the Columbus radar, give us the best view of the potential for rotation. You can still see that area again working its way toward Unionville Center, where we're still seeing that possibility of rotation that's traveling north of US 161. This is going to travel north of Plain City, likely right in along the Franklin Delaware County border. So this is going to be something to monitor ever more closely as it approaches us here in Delaware and Franklin County. It still shows the signs of at least having the potential for rotation this evening. I want to switch back up to the north as well and track the rotation inside some of our other storms up toward Knox County, Morrow County. Again, seeing some of that rotation work its way out of portions of Knox County, or Morrow County, I should say, and into Knox County along the border of Richland County. Doesn't look as strong as it did before, but still looks very concerning. Broad rotations all the way up through Richland County, and then we see additional potential rotation, at least to some degree, back down into portions of Morrow County. So these storms this evening, they've been rotating Jerry, and now at least, unfortunately, we've got reports of some confirmed damage from Bucyrus Police Department up there in Crawford County. Yeah,
it looks like that northernmost storm, Michael, has been quite a doozy, putting on rotation and potential damage. National Weather Service has continued the tornado warning for Knox County that goes until let me get the time here. That goes until it's 50 miles an hour until 5:15 p.m. As you alluded to, that part of central and southern Morrow County is somewhat concerning right now. That just northeast of Delaware, that still is under the threat of a tornado, and then obviously to the south and west. This particular warned storm right now is a severe thunderstorm warning. The sign of south of Marysville, the signs of rotation are still there, but not evident of actually having a tornadic thunderstorm where that rotation is reaching the ground. So we're going to zoom out for just a second and kind of set the stage for you. That's going to show the areas that we're watching, most notably pretty much exclusively north of I-70. However, we're watching a couple of the south, south, and west right now. So that means in the general movement of these storms has been east-northeast. That areas that haven't seen anything today likely will see some active weather. Perhaps not severe, but active weather from Fayette County all the way through Madison County, Pickaway County, including parts of Franklin County and Columbus. But you do see, again, a couple of areas of concern. These areas where we're looking at the areas in the black shades, those with the orange underneath, those are severe thunderstorm warnings. And again, the tornado warning continues off toward the north and toward the east. So again, a closer inspection to some of those cells right now, that still requires us to take a good look and probably issue a warning for those locations to the north of Columbus right now. That's where we're looking at areas around Delaware County to the northeast around Knox County. Marion County, you were earlier under the gun. You're now in the clear. It's areas off toward the east. That includes southern Richland County, areas around Knox County, pretty much north and west of Mount Vernon as that line bears down on you. And then there's Delaware County, northwestern corner of Delaware County at the moment, looking a little bit better, but central and southeastern parts of Delaware County, including Delaware City itself, those are areas that we're concerned as well. So that line does extend all the way back to the south and west, and that's why we're looking again at the potential for a continuation of these strong to severe thunderstorms moving through at about 40 to 50 miles an hour. Again, the extent of that all the way from I-71 back down toward Delaware, just southeast of Marysville, and then heading over toward Plain City in the next couple of moments. So we're looking again, the area, this severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 5:30, includes Delaware County and the northern third of Franklin County. And then off toward the northeast, we're still tracking the potential for some of those tornadic thunderstorms, Michael, that are areas of concern that have produced, as you mentioned, some damage that has been north and east of Bucyrus, I believe, and those are the areas, again, right up 71, northeast of Ashley, and those are areas that are still very concerning to us as these thunderstorms have a history of rotation and not just a very quick spin up. We're talking about some significant rotation as these storms are moving east. There's Mansfield, Richland County. To the south, we're looking at the extreme northern parts of Knox County, north of Fredericktown, north of Danville, but even Mount Vernon, Sparta, and Centerburg. As this storm bears down on you, still the potential with the severe thunderstorm warning for winds over 60 miles an hour and hail up to 1 inch or greater.
Yeah, we're getting close to the 5 o'clock hour here, Jerry. We're tracking these storms. The tornado warning, I think you'd allude to, that was in Union County and portions of the western side of the viewing area over toward Madison County has been allowed to expire as the rotation has weakened some, according to the Weather Service in Wilmington, though it still carries the severe thunderstorm warning with the rotation possible as that storm approaches northern portions of Franklin County, southern Delaware County at this time. We also still have that tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning up into portions of Morrow County and Knox County, including the tornado warning that is covering the northern side of Knox County at this time for that storm that was rotating as it moved toward the Mount Gilead area. The other portion of the storm that was up toward the north, further north toward Bucyrus, again, caused those damage reports that we had into our newsroom just a little bit ago. We'll be following up on those once it's safe to do so here this evening. As you're traveling out of Columbus right now, really you have to worry about that storm that's working its way out of portions of Union County and Madison County. That's going to be the one that's going to cause problems on the north side of town, north side of 270. It's going to cause problems on 71. It's going to cause problems on US 23 as we head through the next hour with this storm pushing in. Even if it doesn't have the rotation with it anymore, it does still carry with it severe thunderstorm characteristics here this afternoon, including the potential for winds of 60 mile per hour and quarter-size hail inside this particular thunderstorm. So let's go and take a view inside the storm real quick, show you that hail potential, and we really are seeing quite a bit of hail potential with this storm out along the Madison Union County border here right now. That's out to the west of Unionville Center, north of Mechanicsburg, with another area of strong hail potential south of Urbana out to the west of Mechanicsburg. So this storm, in addition to possibly rotating at times, is producing the risk for strong hail here this evening and the strong winds too. We'll take a bigger view here back up to the north and east as you get up toward portions of Knox County and Morrow County, Richland County. These are not showing as much signs of hail, but they have been showing the rotation here this afternoon. I want to go ahead and check on where the latest of that rotation could be. Again, we're seeing up in Richland County possibly some rotation now to the east of I-71, tracking strong winds back down into northern portions of Knox County, and then we'll have to watch for what's in portions of Morrow County right now too. Looking a little bit messier than before, but certainly still could see rotating winds inside that storm. And I do want to check here real quick on the storm that's heading into northern Franklin County as well. We'll switch to the Columbus radar to get the better view of the winds inside that storm. And again, still could see some rotation here. If we're going to see it, it would be up to the north of Plain City, really along that same line we've been following here this afternoon, heading due east toward Jerome Township. This isn't strong rotation at the moment, and it's not under a tornado warning at the moment, but we are still seeing some rotation in those clouds, and we do still have that severe thunderstorm warning for this storm as it pushes into portions of Franklin County and Delaware County. We will put the storm track on it for you here real quick as well, moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. That has it pretty much in Jerome Township right now. Powell here at 504, Orange Township at 509, Westerville 516, Sunbury at 522, and New Albany at 526. Jerry.
Yeah, Michael, that's a particular storm that I expect that at least a severe thunderstorm warning will be extended. And as it does, that would include the northern parts of Madison County, almost all of Franklin County, including Columbus. And I suspect that will go at least for another 35, maybe even 45 minutes. But quick look at the big picture. We're stretching the severe thunderstorm threat all the way to northern Knox County. The worst weather again in Richland and Ashland County, southwest toward Morrow County. Marion, you're in the clear. Northwestern Delaware County, you're in the clear. Sunbury, not so much. Down toward Westerville and over toward the east. Licking County at the moment, not under the threat of immediate severe weather, but as this line has a history of producing some damage, some wind and hail, and those tornado warnings, Licking County, be on guard, as should be southeastern Knox County, then extending that line back to the west in parts of Champaign and Clark County. Most closer to home, we're looking at southern Union County, south of Marysville, and northern parts of Madison County. But again, we're waiting another few minutes until that warning. National Weather Service warns on that. Would not be surprised at all if they do. So let's put a track on that particular storm as it does get closer to us. We're looking at the opportunity for that storm moving east at about 45 miles an hour. That's what we're watching right now. Again, no tornado warning south and west of Columbus. The only tornado warning we're seeing right now, extreme northern Knox County and then over toward Richland and Ashland County. What we're looking at, again, a closer inspection of the cell to more populated areas. We're going to track that for you, moving east at about 45 miles an hour. The center of that storm just in the northern western parts of Madison County, and that's moving off toward the east. You can clearly see the areas that covers. So we've talked about the timing of this storm. Right around 5 o'clock, rush hour, the kids have practice, walking the dog, whatever you have planned outside. If you're just joining us during our expanded coverage, probably an opportunity to come back inside and put that walk or that outdoor activity on hold. Looking at West Jeff 506, Hilliard 514, Dublin at 519, Grandview Heights 522, downtown Columbus 525, and then areas again that at the moment are not under warnings but we're watching out for, Pickerington and Pataskala at 5:43 and 5:48 p.m. Again, bigger picture for a moment still shows a lot of yellow. That's a tornado watch until 7 o'clock. I'm pretty confident, though, once we get past this line of thunderstorms and a severe threat that is coming along with it, that I do expect that the area of severe weather will quickly be taken down, and that is some good news. So let's put a bit of a track on this storm, put it into motion for you to give you an idea of how fast this is moving as it comes in from west to east. The area about 45 to 50 miles an hour, so almost highway speeds. That's what we're watching right now as it moves in. So the area, again, Sunbury moving east down towards southern Delaware County. That cell is moving east over toward Licking County. The one we're watching most closely south of Marysville, between Marysville and London. Some well-traveled roads right there, and that's the one we're watching as it moves off toward the east. On top of that, we're seeing a lot of lightning with these particular storms as well, in addition, of course, to the threat of gusty winds and hail. So coming up on 5 o'clock, we've been going on extended coverage this afternoon, I should say, as we've been under a tornado watch for much of the afternoon. We continue to watch and track these particular storms as they have been threatening with some wind, hail, and tornadoes. But it looks right now that the worst weather is along and north of I-70, over toward Mount Vernon, east of Delaware, down toward Delaware County, southern Delaware County, Marysville, and back toward Urbana. A couple of pop-up thunderstorms down around Fayette County, but for the moment, I don't think that any of those are severe, Michael, and hopefully that continues to be the case as we go for the next couple of hours. But at this time, I wouldn't put anything past the atmosphere and kind of throwing some curveballs at us as these storms, a lot of them have had the history of rotation, but only a few of them, most notably to the north near Bucyrus, have actually reached the ground and produced that tornado.
Yeah, Now, I want to track a couple of the damage reports so far that have come into the National Weather Service here this afternoon. Already watching at least several reports of damage coming through. We'll start further to the north. This is going to be up in portions of Marion County, where we've got a thunderstorm wind damage report. That first one there, where you see the little tree icon near Marion, that was trees and utility poles down. That was reported in Marion as of about, looks like a 4:01 there when that report came in. We did have another report of some wind up in there, winds of at least 64 miles per hour. So not hard to believe that those type of winds would cause damage. We have a funnel cloud report that did come out of Union County. That funnel cloud report there came in at 4:17. Report of a funnel cloud was over near the Leesburg area. We've had some wind reports here in the city as well. So we'll keep an eye on the potential for additional reports coming in this afternoon and potential damage, especially as we've heard some out of Crawford County up toward portions of Bucyrus, but we haven't seen those detailed reports come in, at least not yet, though the city again was reporting significant damage to the city. Power lines, trees down, according to the Bucyrus Police Department. Again, urging people up there, do not contact 911 unless you do have an emergency, and they were urging you to stay off the roads up there as well. So those are areas we'll be continuing to follow up on. As you can see here on the radar, still plenty of warnings in place here this afternoon. Good news here, I just saw the color change on the warning that covers Columbus. Looks like they've dropped the rotating tag from that storm for now, but it is a hail producer if nothing else. So if you're heading out on the roads in the next hour or so, this is going to be a storm to watch carefully. This is the view inside the hail potential of this storm. Much like what you see with radar, the brighter the colors, the more intense the return we're seeing. And those big bright colors out to the northwest of Dublin are really just to the west of Dublin. That's some pretty good hail that's going to be coming down in short order.
And that's something that, given a couple of minutes, Michael, people might be able to prepare for, at least maybe get out of the way. If you got a garage, put your car in there and probably seek some shelter if you're on the path of that particular storm. But that is a little bit of good news in that the extension of this severe thunderstorm warning does not indicate rotation from this particular storm. Not that it means that it can't or won't, as it has a history of doing that, but we're looking at mainly that hail threat, as you said, and of course some gusty severe thunderstorm winds, 55, 60, even greater miles per hour are all possible. So let's go street level and show you some locations that might be familiar to you as you're looking at the opportunity again for those thunderstorms this evening. We'll get a closer inspection to some of those and really drill down and talk about the areas and some streets that might be familiar to you, especially if you live in and around this area, northwestern Franklin County. We're looking, there's Powell, there's up near Hyatt's Road, Ostrander, you're in the clear from the severe weather. South Jerome Township, right on the edge, Plain City, right in the thick of things, and then Hilliard, just to the north and west. There's 270, there's 33 in Riverside Drive. A closer inspection right now, we're going to go right to the northwestern corner there. That shows areas, there's 33 out of town, Industrial Parkway, Rings Road, Sheer Rings Road, there's Avery Road that goes up toward Muirfield, Glick Road near the zoo, and then Emerald Parkway, which curls right outside of 270, and that is over near Bridge Park. So any of those locations, those areas that I mentioned, no, at the moment, you're not under a tornado warning, but the threat for damaging winds and exceptionally large hail, an inch or greater, is possible in this particular storm. And as Michael showed just a moment ago, we're not talking about a singular threat of just maybe 100 yards wide. We're talking about that hail core that'd be a couple of miles wide, and that's why we're concerned, at least for the potential for the hail and the wind. Zooming a little bit further out for you, and then we'll put a track on this particular storm. That west to east line, right along the Franklin County, Delaware County line, and that's where that area extends off toward the east. This particular cell was moving at about 45 miles an hour and has been continuing that track and that speed. So we just showed you some of the streets that are impacted. Now we'll talk about a couple of the towns and the communities as we track this cell. That area starting really right around Plain City at ground zero right now, and then moving off toward the east. So areas in and right along that county line. Again, if I can get out of the way and stretch the storm out far enough, Dublin, Linworth, Worthington, and Orange Township. Many familiar to many of you. Kids, again, might have practice outside or you want to get outdoors. We're telling you to take it inside. These storms will move through very quickly, and then you'll be able to get outside and get some air afterwards. Westerville 532, Genoa Township 535, Galena 539, over near the reservoir, New Albany 543, near the airport, Jersey Township and Pataskala up toward 557. So now we're getting into Licking County at the moment. Some of the last couple of names there are not currently under severe thunderstorm warnings, but we're giving you a longer lead time and a heads up to do what you can to keep you and your family safe. Again, if you're just joining us, normally you see the 5 o'clock news coming up on 10 TV or extended weather coverage because of the ongoing threat for severe weather. Areas in the yellow still carrying that tornado watch until 7 o'clock, but the severe weather has been erupting much earlier than that, and we're seeing several areas of concern, most notably northeast near Mount Vernon, north of Mount Vernon, severe thunderstorm warning there. South and west Delaware County, just south of downtown Delaware, but Sunbury over toward Westerville, near Polaris, near the zoo, all those locations I just mentioned along the Franklin-Delaware County line under the threat for large hail and gusty winds. And then back down toward the west, Marysville, you're in the clear. Plain City, you're not. Right now, just north of Hilliard, but over toward Dublin, those areas, Hilliard and Dublin, under the gun very, very soon in the next 5 to 10 minutes as this storm races in. Now, south of that, we're going to expand the view just for a second. That does show the area that we're watching, mainly along and north of I-70. Michael, we have been seeing a couple of these pop-up thunderstorms. Nothing that really draws our attention right now, but certainly something worth watching because this area hasn't seen anything in terms of rain or thunderstorms the entire day, but they have seen a lot of sun and windy and warm conditions, which might help fuel from those stronger cells.
Yeah, indeed. We have to keep an eye on those cells to the southwest of Columbus right now, because what we're seeing with those cells is the area that hasn't been worked over by storms so far this afternoon. That means we are still in an area that could see additional development here later on today. Take a view over on Max 2 weather backup. That's where we see that radar right now with those cells developing from Marysville, Columbus down toward Washington Courthouse, seeing those additional cells come together at this moment. So we'll have to keep a close eye on those cells here this afternoon as we see them continue to develop and push off toward the south and the west. We'll get you a view here real quick of those storms as they push their way in. We'll switch over to the bigger view here across central Ohio and show you what we're watching just in terms of the storms that we do have in place. The severe warnings are mostly from Columbus up toward the north, but we're seeing additional development now back toward the west, London down to Washington Courthouse. Again, these particular cells just getting going and working through an area that hasn't been impacted by many storms yet so far today. We'll continue to watch that this afternoon and continue to watch the potential for rotating storms as well. We do still have that tornado warning in place for the northern side of, I believe that is Knox County, under that tornado warning until 5:15. So that's going to be for about another 10 minutes now. I think the strongest part of that storm really off further to the east, Richland and Ashland counties, seeing some of the stronger rotation inside that storm. But we'll take a view here inside that cell as well, just to see what we can pick up in terms of rotation potential. Really seeing a lot more wind potential here on this particular radar scan than I am seeing rotation potential up toward Ashland County, stretching back down through portions of Knox County, where we're seeing that rotation potential right now work its way through. We've also been watching those storms that are heading into portions of Franklin County at this time, where we're seeing, again, at times where we're seeing that area of rotation that had been working its way through earlier this afternoon. The good news is, at least right now, not seeing any of that rotation at the moment. We're seeing some strong winds come into the county. You're likely seeing some of those really strong winds in Dublin right now. If there is any rotation, it's likely going to be up closer to the Powell area, northwest side of the city, north of the 270 loop. But again, we are watching those strong winds work their way into us here in Franklin County as well. In addition to the winds and the rotation potential, we've been watching the hail potential here this afternoon. You can still see here the hail, those bright reds, much like a radar. That's where we're watching for the possibility of 1/4 for hail that could certainly be damaging out there this afternoon. We'll take a closer look in on some of that hail here and show you just some of the streets that are going to be impacted by that hail potential as we work our way through the next few minutes here as the storm works its way into Franklin County, southern Delaware County, 270 loop, just north of Dublin, seeing some of those stronger areas of hail. If you're north of Dublin, if any of these roads look familiar to you, Glick Road over toward, looks like Murfield Road over toward Ohio 745, Summit View Road on out towards Sawmill Road. These are all areas where that hail is going to be working its way through, and this portion of the storm that is seeing the strong hail working its way off to the east, again about that 40 miles per hour. I'll put the storm cone on for you here, and we'll track that storm off to the east over the next hour. Hail, wind right now, the two big potential threats with this portion of the storm. And again, as it pushes through right along Franklin, Delaware County border, likely to be causing issues here as we head into the commute. We'll put that tracker on for 40 miles per hour. That's going to be in Powell pretty much now, about 3 minutes. Orange Township 515, Westerville 521, Galena at 526, and New Albany at 532. So these continue to be storms that we track here this evening, even as we've seen the severe threat turn more toward hail and wind with these storms. It's not that we're out from under the gun of the potential for rotating thunderstorms here this afternoon. In fact, I want to take just real quick here the big picture. We'll put the watches up for you as well. We remain under tornado watches, all these counties in yellow, Jerry. So we're not done with this threat by any stretch here this afternoon. We got to watch these storms carefully.
No, there's a bit of good news though, Michael. The western edge of that tornado watch has been taken down, so we are seeing a bit of improvement. As expected, the National Weather Service is watching and monitoring the situation very closely. That's why we've been on extended coverage this afternoon and this evening with a tornadic threat with some confirmed damage north around Bucyrus and Crawford County, and also tornado warnings extending all the way down towards Champaign and Clark County earlier this afternoon. Now, right now, we're looking at the storms in motion, favoring clearly the areas from Columbus northward. We're going to stop this motion, and then we're going to take a little bit closer perspective to the storms of most concern right now, that being the one just northwest of downtown Columbus. So we're talking about areas just south and east of Plain City. We're looking at Dublin, Powell, soon to be in Westerville, New Albany, Gehanna, downtown Columbus, and Hilliard. Again, these areas that we're seeing in the yellow, those are under the tornado watches, but the cells that we're watching right now, while they're not producing tornadoes, they still mean business. We're talking about some significant hail over 1 inch. That could do some damage, again, if you're outside, and of course some winds over 60 miles an hour. So keep that in mind if you're any of those locations. So if we can go back to our weather backup, that will show the cells that I'm speaking about right now. We'll get a little closer inspection right now. We'll take you down to street level. That's area right now, and bear with us. We're not trying to make anybody seasick. We really need to drill down, talk about some areas that are familiar to you. There's 161, very well traveled. There's Linworth heading east over toward 315 and 71. Cleveland Avenue to the west, Blendon Township, Blendon Woods Park, and to the south there's 315. East Cook Road, just east of 71. There's West Henderson Road, just on the southern edge of that particular storm. And again, we're zooming out, really impacting the northwest corner of the 270 loop, south of Mount Ayr, Dublin, right in the crosshairs of this storm, including Bridge Park, just north of Hilliard. We're on the edge right now, but look what's waiting to the west. Plain City still getting hammered by heavy rain, hail, and high winds, and that storm extends south into central parts of Madison County. So we're going to put a track on this storm. I believe Michael was at 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, between 40 and 45
40,
miles per hour.
45. We'll stretch this out, and we're going to do a little bit of generous just to capture everybody in this, still moving east at that particular speed. So we get out to 45 miles an hour. Westerville at 514, Blendon Township 526, Gehanna near the airport 534, expecting some flight delays and maybe even a ground stoppage at John Glenn. Granville 555 and Newark at 603. Those are the communities that are under the threat from this particular severe thunderstorm between now and about 6 p.m. Please note that even the areas to the east around Granville and Newark, while they're currently in Licking County, not under that severe thunderstorm warning. They soon could be, and that's why we're kind of expanding the reach of this particular cell, as it's something that we're watching very closely. So we've also watched, as we've been talking about, the potential for hail. Looking at that hail right now, and I guess it might be a little bit hard to see, so we're going to zoom in much closer. This shows the area in and around Dublin. We see that deeper purple. Those areas have seen hail, estimated size of about 3/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit smaller. So that means business. That's a little bit smaller than a quarter, bigger than a nickel, just for a frame of reference. That's not something that you want to be stuck outside in. On top of that, lightning, extremely heavy rain, and of course gusty winds. So that's something that we're watching very, very closely. So we're looking at the threat then of all the lightning. We'll zoom out there as there's a lot to see. Looking at the lightning with the storm off toward the north, northern Knox County. A little bit of a break or a lull as we follow that line down into the southwestern corner of Knox County. Still disruptive around Centerburg, around Utica, but not severe at this moment. South and west, Sunbury, Galena. We're looking over toward Westerville, New Albany, Gahanna. Those areas, that cluster, that very tight cluster of lightning is very concerning, just to show what one of the threats of these thunderstorms are. So please keep that in mind as we are going with wall-to-wall, continuing weather coverage here for good reason. If you're bringing us up to speed or maybe just joining us, there's a continuation of the severe weather threat, mainly along and north of I-70 on this Wednesday afternoon. These storms have a history of producing tornado warnings and even some damage reported in Crawford County and Bucyrus. I want to let you know, though, that areas Bucyrus, Marion, Delaware proper, Marysville, Bellefontaine, Kenton, those areas are in the clear. Again, those areas are behind this line of thunderstorms, not expected to see redevelopment. However, the areas south and east of that are not. So we'll turn it over to Michael Behrens for a moment to track the storms. Michael, I've been watching this developing weather situation all afternoon. Sunshine came out, temperatures in the 70s, and along with that approaching cold front, the recipe does not bode well. Although I will say that the severe weather for the most part has stayed along and north of I-70, and that's as expected. Hopefully it moves in and out and continues that track out of central Ohio.
Yeah, absolutely, Jerry. And we just got a report, an automated report, KOSU, I believe that's the Ohio State airport there in the northwest side of the city's wind gust of 59 miles per hour. So while these storms are not tornadic anymore, they're still severe. They're still producing very strong winds, and they're producing that hail in addition to frequent lightning. Good news out there to the south and west of us here in Columbus. Those storms that we're worried about down toward London, Washington Courthouse, not seeing a lot of strong development right now. Lightning can kind of be an indicator of how strongly a storm's developing. And while we do see some lightning out towards Springfield, it's nothing compared to what we have here in Columbus. This is certainly the stronger cell, the main severe cell that we're watching for here this afternoon. We'll take a look inside that cell again at the hail potential that we've seen here this evening, and we're certainly still seeing that become a problem, really just tracking right along that Delaware County, Franklin County line. We'll zoom in close here and get a closer view at where that hail is falling right now. Those brighter pinks and purples that you're seeing on the radar, these are likely going to be severe hailstones. This is the type of hail that you don't want to drive through. It's going to be nasty for your car, nasty for the windshield, not something you want to be out in. And this is traveling right now along a very busy commuter corridor this time of the day. Ohio 315, US 23, just north of 270. This is likely an area that's got lots of people driving in it right now, and probably lots of people experiencing this hail. And it's going to continue to track off right along this line here between the counties, working its way over toward I-71, over toward Genoa Township, Westerville, south of Galena, south of Sunbury. That's where we're going to see the hail become problematic here, not just right now, but over the coming 30 minutes here as the storm continues to show these strong signs of severe hail. We'll show you a few more roads here in here. If you're on East Powell Road, if you're on that area up in Orange Township, down toward Worthington, Galena Road, over toward, I believe that says, I can't quite make that out here. Sancus Boulevard, seeing that hail heading your way in short order. Again, unfortunately, I know this portion of the county really starts to back up this time of the day, so there's a lot of slow-moving traffic out there, and you're not really going to get anywhere to go to get out from under this hailstorm. As we were mentioning a little while ago, we were saying if you could delay that travel out of Franklin County, that would be the best move, because this is what we were watching traveling along these busy travel corridors as we head into the rest of the evening. We'll switch back to the normal radar and we'll get a bigger view here across the region, show you just the warnings that we are tracking right now. We're watching that severe thunderstorm warning that does cover Delaware County, Franklin County, stretches back out toward Madison and Union County, at least along the border. That is still in place right now. It does look like that tornado warning up in Knox County has expired as we hit 5:15. That's when that one was expected to go away. We'll move the map just a little bit further to the north and east. We do have new severe thunderstorm warnings that come out toward Coshocton. This is going to be working its way into the far eastern side of the 10 TV viewing area, and we just had, looks like, a new severe thunderstorm warning issued ahead of that hail producing storm in Franklin, Delaware County that now stretches out into Licking County. So these storms still severe, Jerry, but thankfully not tornadic, at least for now.
Yeah, we're trying to find a little bit of a silver lining, Michael, with this particular situation. The hail, as you mentioned, is significant. We're looking at hail reported along the Franklin, Delaware County line, over 1 inch in diameter. Saw some pictures from emergency managers. That is significant, and that's more than likely the reason why they extended that severe thunderstorm warning to include Licking County. Now, if you've been joining us and following along over the past couple of minutes, or probably the past 45 minutes, we have talked about the continuation of severe weather threat. Right now, again, that newest warning that includes eastern Franklin County, the southeastern corner of Delaware County, central, northern, and all the southwestern part of Licking County. That severe thunderstorm warning goes on for another hour until 6:15 p.m. as the threat continues there for severe weather. Most notably, we're looking at the opportunity for the severe weather to be in the form of gusty winds and hail. This is not at this time looking like a tornadic storm, and that is good news. But we're looking again at the opportunity for some significant storms. This cluster of lightning is concerning, just to show that this storm has maintained its intensity, and that continues to do so even though it's moving in to an area that has already seen some downpours. We're also looking off to the northeast, Mount Vernon, Knox County. Do a quick radar tour here for you. This area, severe thunderstorm warning again for the same reasons, for excessive wind and large hail. Further off toward the south, we are clear in Mount Gilead. You're clear in Richwood, clear in Marysville. You're clear in Delaware. You're clear in Urbana and Bellefontaine, but you're not clear quite yet in Dublin, in Plain City, and also in London and in Powell. So I'm going to take off the lightning for you to give you a closer perspective of these particular cells as they're moving very quickly from southwest or to west to east at about 45 to 50 miles an hour. This area again is looking very ominous, and it has some neighbors off toward the south which are still concerning at this point. We're not looking at severe thunderstorms headed toward Commercial Point, Orient, Circleville, or just north of Washington Courthouse in Fayette County. But again, we're looking at significant severe storms north of that, so that's where we're going to focus our attention right now. Closer inspection to those cells. We're going to get you all the way down Powell, Dublin, Hilliard, soon to be Upper Arlington, Worthington, New Albany, Gahanna, just clipping Bexley over toward Johnstown and Pataskala. So we're going to switch gears just a second for you here. That's going to show the area of hail. That's what we're looking at. Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, I tabbed that, so just
okay.
Tab that again.
Yep. So we're looking at the area of hail. That is something that within the thunderstorm has been producing some significant hail, and that is what we're looking at with respect to the potential over the past hour, and will continue to be the potential for the next hour. We're going to put this into motion for you. Again, not your normal radar perspective, but it's important to show as this area is moving in from west to east and how it's changing from a purple to a deeper blue to a light blue. That is the center of the hail core of this particular storm, and you can see it stretches for several miles. We're looking at this storm having some significant hail and wind with it. So we're going to move this just a little bit, and we're going to track this particular storm for you. The center of this hail core from this storm stretching down from right near area in Polaris and just north of Worthington and moving east-northeast at over 30 miles an hour. So Westerville, Johnstown, Alexandria, you are under the threat from that particular storm, including the main threat being hail at this time. So please seek shelter. Severe thunderstorm warning, high winds.
There's no tornado.
The advice is the same, whether or not you're talking about tornadoes or talking about severe thunderstorms. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and do what you can to keep you and your family safe. As you're joining us at about 5:20 p.m. on this Wednesday, we're looking at again another severe weather outbreak across central Ohio. Right now we're looking at the radar scan in and around the metro area. Want to quickly call out some counties and communities that are in the clear. Logan County, Union County, up to the north, Marion County, western Morrow County, over near Hardin County, Wyandotte, and Crawford County, you're in the clear. West of that, we're also seeing areas, Champaign, Logan, and Clark County are in the clear. Areas that are not in the clear, and we're going to expand this just a bit, including Franklin County, southeastern Delaware County, much of Knox County, central and western Licking County, and then also northern Coshocton County under the threat for these severe thunderstorm warnings. Most notably, the one that's impacting the largest population right now. This is the one that straddles Delaware and Franklin County, heading toward New Albany, Gahanna, Pataskala, Granville, and Newark because of exceptionally large hail. Well over 1 inch has been documented, and also some gusty winds over 60 miles an hour. So please keep that in mind as these storms are producing ongoing, continuing severe weather. And Michael, it's something that we've talked about and looked at. It seems like this line of thunderstorms, while it still has been doing some significant damage in some spots, earlier reports from around Bucyrus, that we're looking at the opportunity for hail, maybe a bit of a shift from rotating tornadic thunderstorms to more straight line winds and hail. But regardless, if you are in Blendon Township in New Albany, you've got about 15 minutes to seek shelter or bring your cars under roof. Jersey Township in Newark, Licking County. At the moment, Newark and Frazeysburg in Licking County are not under the threat for severe thunderstorm warning, but as this storm extends to the east, I imagine the National Weather Service will do the same and continue to move that severe thunderstorm warning off toward the east. Again, the one we're looking at right now, that goes until 6:30 p.m., and that's something that is very concerning because of the things that we just mentioned with the wind and the hail. So bigger picture for you on this Wednesday afternoon. We actually have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued that is for central and northern parts of Coshocton County. That severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 6:15. It's for Coshocton and Tuscarawas County. There you see it filling back in. It's in between radar sites, Michael. Fortunately, again, I'm not going to call the situation as being calm by any sense, but it seems like while these thunderstorms have shown signs of rotation, that they're not at the moment, and that is a little bit of good news as the threat seems to be shifting from tornadoes to hail and high winds.
Of that hail coming in here this afternoon. Jerry, a couple reports in up toward Dublin. We'll put the information on the screen here for you. That hail report there of 0.9 inches. That came in about 5:08. We'll check the report just further to the north of that. That's at 1 inch diameter hail. So that does qualify as severe hail coming from that storm as it worked its way through Dublin. And we mentioned that wind gust report that came from the Ohio State airport up there, the OSU airport, where we're seeing 59 mile-per-hour wind gust with thunderstorms. So wouldn't be surprising to see that type of wind cause damage across the region as well. We'll take the broader view here across central Ohio and just track some of those storm reports that we've seen. Of course, we had that funnel cloud report that came from out in Union County as those storms came through a little bit earlier today. We've had some strong winds out toward Newark. We'll put the report on here too. This was over in Heath, Licking County, up to 47 mile-per-hour winds reported with this. We had the reports of damage up in Bucyrus. We do have crews on the way to go check out that damage here this afternoon. Some more thunderstorm wind damage. This was up in Bellevue. Multiple trees down Route 97. This is between Butler and Bellevue. 1.5 foot diameter trees snapped according to this particular storm report. That came in around 4:51. And then we had the wind and the damage reports up in Marion. Trees and utility poles reported down in that area, all coming from these thunderstorms as they came through with the strong winds and with the hail here this afternoon. Of course, we were continuing to track those rotating thunderstorms earlier in the evening. Right now, not seeing any of the tornado warnings in place. For the most part, the warnings that have come out over the past hour have been more in the way of traditional severe thunderstorms versus rotating thunderstorms, which is good news. We do want to see that, but these are still storms capable of causing damage in their own right beyond the fact of a rotating thunderstorm. And like you said, this is mostly turning toward a hail and a wind threat. We'll put some of the hail information back on the screen for you here, and we'll take a look at that storm that's been traveling along the north side of Franklin County. It's going to be working its way close to Licking County here over the next little bit. The hail right now traveling northeast of the 270 loop, east of I-71. Certainly still going to be causing problems out there as we watch these storms this evening. And of course, our news team going to be covering the damage that they've left behind as well.
Michael, thanks so much. We start right away at 5 with that weather alert. Our Doppler weather team has been tracking that system moving across central Ohio, tracking tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings for the last few hours. And those storms are now rolling here into Columbus. A live look from our Skyview camera showing what you can see there of downtown Columbus as it's getting hammered right now by dark clouds and rain moving across the area at this hour.
Yeah, let's take a live look out on the roads. Our crews are heading north toward Bucyrus, where police have reported several power lines down and damage from these storms. We're going to check that out. And as soon as our crews get there safely, we will jump back out to our crews and show you what they're seeing.
Thanks for sticking with us tonight at 5. I'm Andrew Kinsey.
And I'm Yolanda Harris. Our Doppler 10 team has been monitoring these storms. So let's get right back over to Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz.
Thanks, Yolanda. The severe threat continues for many locations, including Franklin County and Columbus. Most notably, we've been watching that area of disruptive weather moving in over the past couple of hours. That does include, again, multiple severe thunderstorm warnings stretching from Knox County down toward Coshocton County, Licking County, and then Delaware and Franklin County. The all clear has been sounded for counties and communities to the west, including taking down that tornado watch for Marion, Delaware, Marysville, Bell Fountain, Champaign, Clark counties as well. So that is a little bit of good news. So as we continue to watch this evening, we're watching this line of thunderstorms moving in. Behind that, we're seeing significant improvement, and that continues to be the case for us. Again, a little closer inspection right now. We'll put this into perspective for you, get you a little closer to Columbus before we kind of move on through the rest of your afternoon and your evening. Right now, we're looking at the area Dublin and Hilliard on the back edge of that severe thunderstorm warning. Some big hail producers here, but that main body of the cell is moving east. Westerville, New Albany, the airport, Gahanna, downtown Columbus, and then points off toward the east around Pataskala, Buckeye Lake, and Granville. West of that near West Jeff, just northeast of London, and then down toward Grove City. These other additional cells, while they're not severe, still producing some lightning, some very heavy rain, some gusty winds, and some small hail. Nothing that you want to be caught outside in. So we're just letting you know right now, especially for the next 30 to 60 minutes, if you have to get outside, just put that on pause, wait till the severe weather threat passes, and you'll still have plenty of daylight this afternoon, this evening, hopefully to get out and get some fresh air or do whatever you have to do. But right now is not the time. We'll continue to track the severe weather threat, which will end quickly after sunset this evening, and talk about the rest of the week and the weekend coming up.
Jerry, thank you.
the airport, and this is showing again we're looking at the green and then the red very close together. All too common of a conversation that we're having over the past couple of months is looking at this rotation. Not something we always show you during our regular weathercast, but in this case with severe weather inside this long area of thunderstorms, we're seeing a very small tight circulation. That's what we're looking at right now. So it's east of South County Line Road, directly northwest of Johnstown. If you are in Johnstown or around Johnstown, take shelter immediately. North of that, there's 37 and there's 62, Leafy Dell Road, and there's Croton Road off toward the north. This is where the rotation is the tightest. Now, there's a lot of rural areas and farmland out there, but still a lot of people, a lot of viewers. If this tornado is on the ground, this is us telling you to seek shelter immediately. And we cannot emphasize enough that the guidelines for severe weather and tornado safety simply get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Get inside a sturdy structure. There's the radar updating as we speak, still showing again some brighter pinks and reds with the radar moving away, and then that green cycling and circling back down again. That's why the area of greatest concern at this moment with a new tornado warning is in Licking County, Johnstown in particular right now. West of Johnstown, you're fine. You're in the clear from the tornadic threat. East of Johnstown, not so much. And you see, as we broaden this out, we're not talking about a huge area, but that very small, very tight circulation. And we've talked about this before. We get these large thunderstorms that are rotating, and like an ice skater, as that rotation begins to compact and get smaller, that spin gets tighter. This is what we're looking at inside the storm, and when that rotation reaches the ground, that's when we have that tornado, and that's what we're most concerned about right now. That area bounded by the yellow, that is an indication of a radar-indicated tornado as it moves off toward the east. So that's something, again, we're watching very closely. At the moment, we're looking at some prolific lightning. These particular line of thunderstorms, when it was around Westerville and around Powell, around Sawmill Road, right along areas near Westerville and south of Galena, producing 1 inch plus hail. But now this particular part of the storm has shown signs of rotation. And that's just a reminder of how things can change very quickly. We had talked about, and I even said, it looks like these storms are kind of changing some of their characteristics, becoming more wind and hail producers. But this particular part of the thunderstorm has a mind of its own, and that's why we're talking about this tornado warning as it moves from west to east and does so at about 35 miles an hour. So if we could put a track on this storm, again, as the radar scan is updated in the past couple of minutes, we're looking at Sunbury, Galena, Delaware, Sparta, Westerville. You are in the clear. Central and northern parts of Licking County, some of these names are new and a little further off toward the east, starting at the top around St. Louisville at 559, Hickman at 609, Perryton 619, Black Run at 622, Frazeysburg at 627, Cooperdale at 632, and then Dresden about 636. So those are the communities. If you are in those areas that I mentioned, seek shelter, put your action plan in motion now. If you know somebody, a friend or a loved one that is in any of these areas in the path of the storm in Licking County, then please call them and tell them to take the same necessary precautions. We also have the benefit of having Doppler 10 meteorologist Michael Behrens join us during the afternoon. Unfortunately, Michael, this is something that we've been bringing to our audience too many times this spring, is the severe weather threat, and that continues as we come up on 540 this evening.
Yeah, we continue to watch those severe weather threats here this afternoon, Jerry, as storms have been rotating across central Ohio for much of the afternoon. Those rotating thunderstorms still causing problems with that newest warning out toward portions of Licking County. We'll put the data on for you, the latest version here, and travel over toward Licking County to take a close look inside that portion of the thunderstorm. What we're seeing right now is off the Cleveland radar, and you can see that rotation even from a radar that's further away than what we have here in Columbus. We switch over to the Columbus radar and you get a better idea of where that rotation is at its strongest. That's likely going to be on the north side of Johnstown right now, tracking off toward the east. You can see the roads there, the Sportsman Club Road and US 62. This is going to be heading your way, likely along, if not slightly north of Sportsman Club Road. This is likely going to be traveling to the north of Ohio 37 as the storm continues to work its way through, eventually heading heading off toward the east, over toward the Northridge Road, heading again off to the east at about 35 miles per hour. So that's the strongest area of rotation inside this particular thunderstorm. Also, these storms this afternoon have been producing strong wind and hail. That continues to be a concern as these storms are picking up at least a little more rotation here across the region this afternoon. It's a reminder, Jerry, as we were watching these storms form, and while they were becoming less tornadic, at least for a minute, we're not done with the risk of tornadic thunderstorms here this afternoon. In fact, as we switch over to the watches, all the counties in yellow still do remain under a tornado watch here this evening, including some of those eastern counties, far eastern counties. That goes till midnight. We're not expecting the storms to still be here at midnight, but again, the threat for now does continue.
Yeah, that's good advice, Michael, is that threat continues off toward the east, as well as not necessarily tornado threat, but the threat for severe weather and thunderstorms. So while we're tracking this particular cell right now, a relatively small tornado warning and a much longer line of strong to severe thunderstorms, we also want to bring your attention for a moment. Again, the area around Johnstown, mainly in central and north central parts of Licking County as this storm moves off toward the east. So the largest threat right now is around Route 13, Route 62. Everybody knows where Utica is, the ice cream capital. There's Granville, outside of the tornado warning, but still under the threat for severe weather. And then further off toward the south, Newark, again, under that severe thunderstorm warning. Not necessarily tornado warning, but just as fast as this storm spun up into a tornadic storm, Michael, the same could happen south and west. Let's quickly take a radar tour of some of those other cells. We talked about the large hail in some spots. Right now we're seeing some significant returns coming in just near Gehanna. And where we're seeing these brighter colors, this is a little bit of a radar scheme, but what we're looking at and sharing with you right now is where we're seeing that large hail. We're not just talking about a small hail core. These are big. We're talking 5 to 10 miles wide, stretching all the way from Glendon Township right down to 70. There's Gehanna and just north of John Glenn Airport. So more than likely wreaking havoc on air travel this evening, or at least right now, probably for the next hour or so. The current hail right now, as we're tracking this, does show the largest area, the largest threat right now, just southwest of Gehanna, just near that 670, 270 join, when that area again is under the worst threat for severe weather and hail. If we can expand just a bit, it looks like we're looking at the opportunity for that particular storm as it moves from west to east, looking at the possibility of some hail coming back in, mainly in parts. There's the radar scan then going back in time. The hail cores moving in from west to east along with those storms, seeing the winds up to 60 miles an hour. Couple of communities I want to call out to the all clear, just northwest of Dublin, Plain City, Powell, Delaware, up just north of Westerville near Polaris. Those areas around Orange Township and out to the west near Jerome Township and Marysville in the clear.
And speaking of in the clear, Jerry, I do want to let you know that the National Weather Service office out of Wilmington has gone ahead and canceled that tornado warning in Licking County. That rotation we were tracking there no longer as strong as previously thought, so that warning has now been canceled. Licking County still under that severe thunderstorm warning, but at least for now, we're back to a status with no tornado warnings here in portions of central Ohio, though we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning. We'll take a quick look at that here. Take Weather 1 full. We'll show you that view down to the south toward Washington Courthouse, where we have that newest severe thunderstorm warning in place that's going to be working its way toward Mount Sterling and in towards Circleville here in the next little while. That particular severe thunderstorm warning in place till 6 o'clock tonight. So we're still going to be watching these storms carefully.